Hi, welcome to Awakening Soul Truth. I'm Robbie Short. This is my friend Allison Ledbetter. We're both Reiki masters, meditation teachers. I'm a yogi, she's a medium. And we kind of left you guys hanging at the last video. It was a really tough video for us to film.
Yes.
It's a tough subject matter for us to talk about. It's really a tough subject for all of us to be facing, but it's something that needs to be done. The last video was child sex trafficking. And so we thought we'd follow it up today with healing sexual trauma.
Yeah, we really didn't mean to leave it hanging, but we did. When I reviewed the tape, I was like, ooh.
I don't even think we did a meditation at the end.
we were feeling a lot of trauma. And we feel like this subject literally invokes really hard emotions internally. And the reason why we're following up is because we absolutely believe that each and every person can help us heal the collective, this sexual trauma.
Yeah, it's something that I talk about in yoga a lot, and we've talked about here on the show. Anything that happens at a micro level is going to ineffectively or inadvertently affect the macro level or the collective.
Yeah.
And anything that's happening collectively also can have an impact and an influence on us individually. So it's that energy exchange back and forth.
And I'll go as far as saying most of us actually do have sexual trauma in our past lives. So if you haven't experienced it this lifetime, and I'm so thankful if you haven't, many women have. I mean, I feel like hitting the halfway mark, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't just a few random scattered people.
They used to say, 1 in 3? They used to say 1 in 4. Now it's 1 in 3. But I'm with you. I think the numbers are higher because a lot of women haven't talked about it, or a lot of men haven't talked about it.
So
because there's so much shame and guilt around it.
Well, and silencing, because the people that are doing the abuse don't want you to come out with that.
And they'll threaten you or your family.
Yeah. So we have deep compassion for this situation, and we're asking us to heal this together. We're asking you today, as you listen to this, to actually spend some time reviewing or viewing some of the other YouTube videos on people that have and are telling their story about rape, abuse, and trafficking.
We watched a video the other day of Annika Lucas on Unfiltered Stories, and it was riveting. It was horrific. She was European. I think she was born in Belgium. And at a very young age, her parents introduced her to a couple who would take her away on the weekends. They ended up taking her to a party, a sexualized party where everyone wore masquerade masks. It was a big mansion. It was a lot of elite, powerful people, politicians, entertainers. Children were brought in. And she said every adult ended up with a child in bed. And her story continues because her parents discovered what was happening and allowed it because they were getting paid for it. And there was one politician that she discovered was from Germany who favored her. As that continued, they ended up having another party that went to a whole next level. And it was with what was called disposable children. And then she discovered that her parents had allowed her to become one of these disposable children within this ring, which means that if you are part of the disposable children, you can now be included in blood and sex rituals, not just the sex rituals. So in that case, she witnessed children being murdered during these rituals. And she was very lucky to survive that. And eventually there was a gangster or mobster who, I think, kind of bought her, and he abused her a lot. But then he came back, something happened, something switched, and he eventually freed her.
Well, okay. This is a really hard story. It's a really hard story to hear that this is happening. And this is happening with people that children trust.
Yeah, because she says often through the video, and we'll put the link for you guys to watch, that not only was she groomed, but she was conditioned. She was conditioned to be a certain way. So when she went to this party where everybody was masked, she said everybody was dressed like hippies and they were wearing the mask. And when they were hooking up with the children, she said she had already been groomed for it, but also conditioned to be a good listener to whoever she ended up with.
Okay. This is really hard.
Yeah. It's grotesque. It's hard. And this is part of reality that
some people have experienced.
Yeah, behind closed doors.
So we're asking you to join in the collective of healing this. Just take a few breaths for a minute, because that's a lot. It's really painful to hear that children are subjected to this. We all know someone who's engaging in this behavior. I can guarantee you that you know somebody who looks at horrific versions of porn and has been with a prostitute or raped someone. Okay? So this is not 10 degrees of separation. This is 2 degrees of separation. This is 1 degree of separation. This is in our world. I know of one person who had this happen to her, right? She was tied up and raped repeatedly as a child, on and off for years. And her mom did not protect her. She did not tell her mom, but I don't understand how you could go home and not see the pain in your child's eyes. And she obviously has long-term physical damage. Healing this.
A lot of times people will look dead in the eyes or hollow, checked out.
Yeah.
When they're traumatized. So I don't understand if you're a parent and this is your child, when children typically have so much light and wonderment and awe and excitement and joy, you have to be able to see that light is gone.
Yeah. And where did it go?
Yeah, and when did it happen? And you could probably pinpoint at least a roundabout time that it happened. So have these conversations with your children. If you see this drastic change with children, whether you're a teacher, a caretaker, or a babysitter, or a parent, or a family member, a neighbor, pay attention to the light in children's eyes. Is it there or is it diminished? Because there's a reason why it diminishes.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for people that are victims of these crimes and have had this happen, that they continue to tell people until somebody listens. And that's the new thing that they tell children. If your parents aren't going to believe you, tell a teacher, tell many teachers, write it down, tell the internet. There's a whole movement on the internet with people holding up flashcards of when and how they were abused. And that seems to be a really good medium for people who can't speak the words yet, but can write them down.
Or don't have authority members. I mean, we, interviewed Angie Solomon, whose child Gracie had been raped by her own father. And court system didn't believe her. Her teachers, principal didn't believe her.
That's right.
So sometimes you may not have people in authority around you who are going to believe you. So have a voice and find that voice and express it however you can to whoever you can.
And that's why Angie's become so loud, because they turn to the people, and this is our belief. We believe that the reason why the courts didn't accept it or they didn't listen to the story is because they're actually involved.
They're part of the ring.
They're part of the problem.
Yes.
So anybody who's not listening and helping heal and protecting and saving, they're part of the problem. And this is not to get angry, because remember last time we said we're not going to get angry. Today we're talking about healing. Keep finding someone to listen.
Yeah, I think this is an important point. Sometimes we think pedophilia is, some weirdo sitting in a dark closet somewhere looking at the dark web. Sometimes we, when we're thinking about the subject matter, we think, oh, this is going on behind closed doors with someone's father, grandfather, uncle, mother, a family member. There's also the people who snatch children, off the street and sell them and traffic them. There's the cartel who runs the trafficking. But what we need to focus on also is this elite system, these powerful people who may allow the other ones to get noticed or arrested or imprisoned, but yet they're kind of running the show behind the scenes.
Yeah. Otherwise, this issue would be stopped.
Yeah, and I saw a TED Talk like a year ago, and this was a different European woman who was also abused as a child by European politicians and stars or entertainers.
Yeah. So, and right, Hollywood's coming out with it right now. The point is, this is not one of those conspiracy theories, because if you notice your body language and what pulsated through your body as we're telling you this, it's probably not, oh, that's not true. You probably are having extreme emotion. You're probably having surges of like uncomfortableness.
Yeah, because you don't want the memory of you or your past life in this occurrence coming to the surface.
Right. But the fact is that there's something there. That you, even though you may not have had this happen this lifetime or in your conscious awareness, if you're having true compassion, you're connecting to the fact that this is real. And we have to heal this collectively.
We wouldn't have all these people starting to speak out.
Right, if it was fake.
If it was fake news, exactly. And there's so many different stories coming out. I mean, I even listened to a woman yesterday who was a yoga teacher. So I can relate to her as being a yoga teacher. And she was going to go get photographed in fitness clothing. She was going to be like a clothing model. And she ended up going to the interview, got passed through the interview, went to the place where the photo shoot was supposed to happen. And it was a bunch of men that corralled around her and threatened her. They took her into a room. One guy stood outside the door. 2 men were inside the room. And they filmed raping her from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. And it was put on a porn website called Girls Do Porn or something like that. Evidently, it was taken down because a lot of other women were coming out and saying the same thing had happened to them, that they had been led into this trap.
Right.
So men and women need to be really careful
of traps,
of entrapments like this.
Okay, let's.
I'm sorry, but it's so rough.
It's so rough. And if you're not feeling this, then you must look at your ability to connect. And if you tell this to somebody and they don't feel, or if they go blank, they might be part of the people doing the abuse. We're calling it out. We want to heal this in the collective. So to heal this collective, again, we are not therapists. We are healers. And the number one principle that makes us different between therapists and our work is that we turn everything to the love and light of the divine. And you can call that God, but if you'll notice, a lot of people have had their relationship with God blown up because of being raped by clergy and the systematic, institutionalized version of sexually abusing children. Yeah. Okay, we've already talked about that.
Or thinking, does God really exist? Because a true loving God wouldn't allow this to happen to me. So there's all this festering anger, which rightfully so.
Very festering anger. It's very, very true. So we really want to invite you to step number 1. Understand that there is divine love in your own heart. And it exists there. There is a sacred space inside of each person. The reason why we might hurt another person is because we're separated from that space in the first place. So people that cause harm and abuse are not connecting to their source of divine light. They're very far from it. And that doesn't mean that they don't have divine light inside of them. So step number 1, trust divine light and love exists, and ask it to be present in your life.
Find a way, anything that brings you into a feeling of peace.
Yeah.
Because, yoga does that for me. Meditation does it for both of us. Reiki does it for us.
Mm-hmm. Nature.
Find something that gives you that feeling of peace and oneness and safety.
Well,
whatever that may be, because there's a God particle in that.
Right. And take that little particle, that little space, and expand it, and use an affirmations like, I am accepting pure love. I am accepting love from the divine. I am accepting a new form of love. So any of those versions of I am accepting, I am integrating love. So once love starts, step number 2 is that you're going to get a lot of feelings. You're going to have a lot of feelings come up when you've been traumatized so badly, and we don't want you to stay stuck in those feelings. We can really replay things, really horrific things, over and over and over again. And it's kind of like you're trapped in hell. My hope is we get you out of hell, and it's to heal your mind and to heal your body. So you can actually say, I am releasing the perpetrator from my body. I am releasing
that
being raped.
energy out of my body.
Yeah, I'm releasing the visuals. I'm releasing the smell from my body. Okay? Allow your body to feel it. So even right now, I had this feeling of I might throw up. That's real. I have not personally been raped, but I have deep empathy and compassion, and I can feel that. I can feel that, oh God, I can't believe this happened to me. Feel it and release it, because once you feel it and release it, it's done. Your body doesn't need to review it. A really important aspect of claiming power and healing is saying, I am releasing the perpetrator's energy from all of my being, from my body, my mind, my heart, and my soul. I am releasing all of it. And that creates a vacuum. That space then you must fill up with God's love, divine love. So I am releasing the perpetrator. I am loved. And I am accepting love.
Release the guilt, the shame. It's not yours to have or to own. Release that and fill yourself up with compassion.
Compassion. That's the thing. And again, when it's hard for us to have compassion for ourselves, it's I am accepting compassion from the divine. I'm accepting compassion.
If it happened when you were a child, you can easily give compassion to your inner child.
Absolutely.
To your smaller self.
And that's when the visualizing of yourself, when you see yourself when you were raped prior to it, hold her or him, bring her, and literally imagine yourself holding this loved one that you are and saying all the things you need to hear. You are your best advocate for healing. At the end of the day, this is your story, and how you heal it is through you. And surrendering the pain and releasing it and holding and giving yourself compassion.
Yeah, there's a beautiful meditation that the Buddhists use called metta meditation. Mm-hmm. And metta means loving kindness. Mm-hmm. Loving kindness is compassionate too. May I be happy. May I feel peace. May I be at one. Mm-hmm. May I feel safe. You know, you can change it up. There's different types of metta meditations, but you're bringing happiness and wholeness back to you and saying it in an affirmative way. So you could add that to the affirmations that she was already giving.
And I'm going to say, when you say those, the may I can be a little tricky.
Okay.
It's the I am.
Yeah.
I am safe. I am loved.
I am whole.
Even if you don't have the experience of that yet. This is not lying to yourself saying these things. It is setting the intention of where and what you're going to claim in your life. And that is, I am safe. I am loved. I am supported. I am seen. I am whole. I am believed.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I release the lies. I love saying I release other people's story and lies from my body. You own your own stuff. You own your stuff. I'm done being your victim. Hard lines. Be really clear. So after the affirmations and feeling things and moving through them, remember you must feel the vacuum. It's time to step into forgiveness, because forgiveness then really releases that cord. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's okay to have anger and rage towards this. We just don't want you to stay stuck in it. Any emotion that you have is okay. Just keep moving through it. Okay, so the next step is that forgiveness part. That's kind of the last step where it really does leave. And that's so that you stop replaying it. Forgiveness is never about letting them off the hook. Sometimes in my forgiveness work, I actually say, I am surrendering this to God to handle. I forgive this person and release them completely from every aspect of my being. I release my perpetrator from every aspect of my being. I forgive them. I surrender them to God. I'm done.
When you can sever that, you're basically setting yourself free, and that freedom can assist with the healing process.
Yeah, it really can. Now, for those of us who haven't had the direct experience but are feeling pretty uncomfortable, we really welcome you to say prayers. And those prayers or affirmations is, I'm sending love, light, and healing to any child who has been raped. Saying it that clearly. Saying affirmations like, we heal this in our collective mind. We're done with this violence. I declare peace. We stop this sexual violence in our culture. These are affirmations that you can say and declare to the universe, and it makes it very, very clear. Another aspect we want to make it really clear is a lot of people are sexually abused by family members or somebody they know, or somebody that's become part of their life and they know. This is not love, okay? That's not love. That's why we're telling you to surrender to a higher version of love, the divine love.
The unconditional version, because if someone was doing that, that's a parent, that's conditional.
Yeah.
You're basically, you were fulfilling a need for them. It had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, you don't have to own other people's pain. Oh, that's my other favorite affirmation. So it's, I'm done owning your pain. I'm done owning your story. I release your story and your behavior from my body. I have the right to my sovereignty. I have the right to create, and I am creating peace and safety in my life. And we should all culturally become wise and not allow children to be with their perpetrator. It's not acceptable. We've discussed that before. That has to end. Let's wise up.
Have you noticed we've been a little bit like this
Yeah,
today?
absolutely.
Like clutching my belly.
We're holding pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did it. And we love you. Thank you for joining us today.